Good afternoon. My name is Scott Clow. I'm the Environmental Programs Director for the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe. And I think our Vice Chairman, Selwyn Whiteskunk, is there in the audience. And also Councilman Lindrith Wall might also be there. I would welcome them to introduce themselves and weigh in on the presentation. I have some slides that I'll share with you, and then happy to field any questions about what we've been doing with solar energy and some other renewable initiatives here. Mr. Vice Chairman or Mr. Councilman, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Good afternoon, everyone that's here participating. I would like to thank the governors and the lieutenant governors and the Pueblo nations as well, all the tribal nations that are here today, speaking on behalf of the renewable energy forum here. Is so important that, you know, us as tribal nations undertake this big opportunity for our tribal lands to increase and to build some type of infrastructure as well as an economic tool to enhance our ability through such renewable opportunities that are given to us, as was presented earlier today. The fact that we've always had this ability to foster what the Creator has given us, and it's something that you pretty much look at and you think about it. And as with our government, our tribal government, we continue to move forward in many facets to ensure that our people's interest, as well as the interests of our surrounding community, is considered as well as we take these opportunities. There's a lot of negotiations. There's a lot of consensus that we as a tribe, the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, has to foster in these opportunities. And, you know, as many of you communities have recognized and seen, the ability to be a self-determined tribe, it sometimes becomes cat and mouse games with outside entities off the reservations to sustain your economic development for your people. And as the Ute Mountain Ute Tribes embarks on many opportunities using renewable energies, we're in that phase as well. So if my Councilman Wall is available, I'd like him to introduce himself. By the way, again, my name is Selwyn Whiteskunk, and I'm the Vice Chairman of the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and go through my slides here, and then we can have some questions. If Councilman Wall is there, and just speak up, and happy to let you have the floor. Let me see here if I can get my PowerPoint to work. There we go. A couple slides about the tribe in general. So originally 7 bands of Utes in Colorado and Utah and northern New Mexico. The Weenooch band is the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, split off from the other southern Ute reservation, basically because of difference regarding homesteading on the reservation. There's over 500,000 acres of land in 3 states. So on this map here, you can see the purple is the Ute Mountain Ute, mostly in Colorado, a little in New Mexico there, north of Kirtland, and then a little bit over in Utah. As far as the economy of the tribe, we have a 7,700 acre irrigated farm and ranch enterprise. We have a casino and hotels, some travel centers, one in Colorado and one in Utah, an RV park at the casino. We have a construction company called Wiwinuch Construction Authority. We have a tribal park that does tours, archaeological, cultural resource, and ecotourism. And then on the last bullet, the tribe has been an energy tribe for a long time, and primarily oil and gas. And so one of the goals of our renewable energy team has been to help the tribe transition from that old fossil fuel economy into something new. As oil and gas is boom bust, and the tribe has certainly seen boom bust with revenue, we're looking towards the future on clean energy sources. A little snapshot of the people. I have been privileged to work for the tribe for half of my life. I don't take that lightly. Originally hunters and gatherers, about 2,100 members, 55 years of age, life expectancy, pretty young overall median age. A lot of people kind of struggling financially here, 37% poverty rate. The per cap income here is about 13 grand compared to a 42,000 family income in our area in Colorado. So the project I'm going to get into here shortly is all about saving money for people. So a couple things on this slide to take note of. In the lower left is the cover of our climate action plan. And that was adopted last July by the Tribal Council, Vice Chairman Whiteskunk, and the council are fully recognizing the effects of climate change and have embraced this plan. And the cornerstone of that plan, one of them is this transition from fossil fuels to clean energy. So we've been at this for a while, and we have benefited greatly from the Department of Energy. We got a grant for a feasibility study about 8-9 years ago to really look at, well, how could we do a community scale solar project? So the cover of that report's in the upper right there. Basically, if we looked at a 1 to 2 megawatt project, how could we do it? Where's the best place to do it? And so this project, it's very similar to the one you just heard about. It's also 1 megawatt. We had a workforce development component, which our partners were Grid Alternatives Colorado. Great folks, and I'll describe a couple of projects we're working on with their tribal program coming up here. We wanted to try to offset as much of the load as we could here in Toyoak, Colorado, and offset our carbon footprint. Our goal with the project financially was to try to save. We originally estimated 172,000 a year in energy expenses. We're not quite there for a few reasons, but we have saved a lot, and I'll share that with you shortly. The picture on the bottom in the middle is an irrigated field that we have converted. Actually, it's the adjacent field to that circular one that we used for our project. But somebody was mentioning the NEPA process, and our NEPA was relatively simple because it was previously disturbed land. Department of Energy was fine with the categorical exclusion, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs concurred with that. Our project, the funding on the right there, we got close to $1 million from the Department of Energy. I see Tweety Doe is on your agenda tomorrow. Thank you, Tweety. You've been a huge help, and we look forward to continuing that with you. The tribe committed close to $1.2 million from some settlement funds, and then our partners at Grid leveraged a couple $100,000 towards the project. So in the upper right, that is a geotechnical assessment of the field where we built the project. The photo in the lower left, of course, it was a snowy, muddy day when we had our groundbreaking ceremony with the golden shovels out there. And then the photo in the lower right is what it looks like in the foothills of the Sleeping Ute Mountains upon completion. It took a couple of years to plan, design, negotiate, and construct. It took over 6 months for the design and build and delivery of our transformer for the project. Grid Alternatives was a great partner. We were limited by policy. People were talking about co-ops and electric companies. And so our local electric cooperative is Empire Electric, and they are beholden to Tri-State, who they buy most of their electricity from. Tri-State policy limits distributed generation to less than 1 megawatt. So we really couldn't hook into their system at more than 1 megawatt. So we're looking at some future end arounds on that. Last March, we commissioned the project. There's that transformer there in the background behind our tribal chairman, Manuel Hart, and you can see the tribal council there. So it came online in March. We had to still test our curtailment systems. We have to limit it to less than 1 megawatt of AC production at any time, or else we get penalized by Tri-State. So the curtailment system monitors the output and communicates with our inverters. We have a 16-string inverter string, and so it tames those down if it's getting close to 1 megawatt. We still hadn't run the test on that when we commissioned it, so we were at 50% for a couple months, and then COVID hit literally days after this ceremony out there. So it took us a little while to run the test, but we got her done in May. Passing of the torch. So on the left is the project foreman from Grid Alternatives. They were our EPC, and some of our public works staff on the right. So we were up at 100% capacity last May. We have a SCADA system now online, so we can monitor the system remotely as well. So generating clean energy and saving money is what this is about. And so this is a unique project because this is actually all behind the meter. We purchased a small amount of the local grid from our electric cooperative. It was about $60,000 in the project budget for that. And that allowed us to basically control where the electrons go between our solar array and our casino resort. So the casino, there's 7 meters on their system over there that cumulatively can consume most of 1 megawatt of power. And so we send the electricity over to the casino resort, but we don't do that for free. The casino actually pays the tribe for that electricity. And then we forward that to our electric cooperative, and the electric cooperative credits bills on a monthly basis. So there's a part of everybody's electric bill, people who have signed up, that says, this is your solar credit for this month. So a couple spreadsheets here. On the left are, I took the last names off for people's privacy, but we currently have 165 residential customers that have signed up for a bill credit. And so since we started crediting, we had a couple hiccups along the way with getting that process of billing the casino and getting the money from them to the electric company. We had a couple months where we weren't able to do the credits, but these have ranged from $40 on the low end to $75 on the high end on people's bills each month. We have 165 people signed up for the program right now. And in addition, on the right, we've been able to offset substantial amount of the tribal government's meters. And so on the list there, those 18 meters are all ones that are under our Public Works Department and the bills that they get sent through our Community Services Division. And this is important because in our workforce development component of the project, we hired 11 interns for the installation. So building the racking, installing the panels, the wire runs, and pretty much everything up to the very specialized equipment, the main shutoff switch and the transformer and the metering system was all installed hands-on in partnership with Grid Alternatives and our interns. One of those interns works for our Public Works Department, and he's our O&M guy. And so by offsetting the Public Works electric bill in this fashion, we've actually been able to pay for our O&M guy to go down there and take care of the system. We haven't had a lot of operation and maintenance obligations so far. We've had one inverter that's been a little fidgety on us. It cuts out on us every once in a while. But yeah, as was mentioned in the previous presentation, trimming weeds, making sure the panels are clean. We had a huge windstorm last year, and we went out and checked all of our racking installation, and it hadn't moved a centimeter, a millimeter even. So it was all pretty sturdy. In the upper left, you can see as of October 1st this year, this month, we had generated 3.6 million kilowatt hours. And so in this bill crediting process, we owe a lot to our electric cooperative because they've really been great. They transitioned from not really being interested in these types of solar projects to being a really good partner now. And so we actually pay what we earn on the electricity is based on the commercial rate for our casino, because we're sending the electricity there. And so we base our monthly billing to the casino for the electricity that we send there on that commercial rate, which is based on peak demand. And I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit. But in the lower left, you can see we've credited $69,675 to residential customers so far. Government 43,918, total 113,594. We've paid $1,300 in administrative fees to the electric cooperative for this bill crediting process. So we're pretty well on target with we had envisioned a 60-40 split with residential and government. So we've been pretty close to that. As far as that project, you can see some of our interns. That's Judy Lehigh in the lower left. She was an intern for us through the whole project. We had budgeted for 3 interns for 6 months, and talking to Grid Alternatives, they said, well, it's probably going to not be a 6-month installation. So we bumped that up to 6 interns for 3 months. And then we had 21 people apply for those jobs. So we pieced together some funding with our higher education program and some others. And we were able to get 11 interns paid for the project. We finished our test phase per our Department of Energy grant last March, so 12-month test phase. Final reporting, got one more report to finish up with them. Sorry, Tweety. But next stops for community solar projects, we have another Department of Energy grant that I'll describe in a moment in White Mesa, Utah. so the Utah community. And then we are in negotiation process with Department of Energy on one to help our housing authority here. So how do we add on to our community system? We really want to do that. We want to bump this up and make it save more money for everybody and more carbon from the atmosphere. So we are also in touch with Stan Adcity there about storage. And so we're looking at options. We think if we can put some, build this out a little further, but run the energy into storage, then we can power our casino resort later into the evening. And that will actually make this all more cost effective, because if we can push the peak load further into the evening away from when everyone else gets home from work, then it will actually make these electrons more valuable to the tribe. So we're going to kind of go there as far as an add-on onto this this system. It was I appreciated the governor's comment in the last presentation. How much does $1 million get you? That's the big question. And so for this tribe, with a substantial Department of Energy grant, 1.2 million got us a megawatt. And so crunching numbers with the Department of Energy's cost share, we're looking at about a 15-year return on investment for the tribe's investment on this project. Our next project is over in White Mesa, Utah. And what we're doing there is we're going to do photovoltaic installations on 7 tribal government facilities over there. So community center, education center, public works, 2 water well and treatment systems, a diabetes program, and then a couple other electric meters over there. So this was it's a $491,000 project. It was going to be 50-50, but Department of Energy, thank you once again, decided that they would reduce cost share for the tribe on this project. And so they lessened that down to a little less than $100,000. So that's going to make it that much more cost effective for the tribe. And so that's what we're doing in White Mesa. And then we've got the one that we're negotiating for to benefit our housing authority here. That project is the photo on the left is what's called our supportive housing unit. And I like to think this was a compelling part of the grant application. This is a transitional apartment. There's 11 apartments in there. And it helps people, veterans, some people who don't have homes or are in transition between housing opportunities. And so we're going to offset the electric bill there for our housing authority. And then we're also going to install photovoltaics on 20 rental homes as well. Interestingly, in the upper right, I'm sure you can read all those numbers. That is the annual electric bill for a very generous donation from Grid Alternatives several years ago. They did an installation on a rental home here, and it's just been chugging along. I checked into the people that live there, and they said, "Does that thing even work?" And sure enough, that bill from last year, they actually got $77 credit at the end of the year for over generations. So it's working great. Let me check on the time. Okay, I see I'm getting close here. This is just a little more about that housing authority project. And finally, you can see the slides on the bottom. We're really hoping to transition from a fossil fuel economy into clean energy as far as the energy sector. In the upper right, those are some kids from our Discovery Camp a couple of years ago. We had a renewable energy day where they learned about different projects. I want to mention these community projects are a stepping stone to some much bigger ones that we are working on. I'm happy to say that the vice chairman and the tribal council supported an option agreement a couple weeks ago to actually offer exclusivity to a company for a commercial solar project. So a chunk of land that they will be able to study to build out a commercial solar project, we hope in the near future. And we have another one right on the coattails of that. We have a exciting energy storage project we're working on with some other partners. This would be a closed loop pump storage hydroelectric project. So basically creating a huge battery. The tribe has some advantageous geographic location near the power plants there in northern New Mexico that makes that project really appealing to PNM and others. And finally, some other smaller hydroelectric projects we're looking at as well. So we think that with these community projects, we've taken that first step, that stepping stone towards some much bigger things in this energy economy transition. I'll leave it there. And if you have any questions for Selwyn or myself, happy to field those.